So you want to dig deeper in the Godzilla universe, but you're not too sure where to start? Now, if you're a completionist, be prepared to sit for a while. Godzilla himself appears in 35 films spanning 3 universe reboots and a handful of Hollywood adaptations. Plus, Godzilla's pals like Mothra and Rodan, well, they've got their own film series too. But here's a way to get you started with 5 of the best kaiju films from where it all began, the classic Showa series from Toho Studios. What's a kaiju? Well, let me Google that for you. Kaiju is a Japanese film genre that features giant monsters, usually attacking major cities and engaging the military and other monsters in battle. First up, 1954's Gojira, released just 9 years after the end of World War II. It's kind of odd to think that such a colorful and largely kid-focused franchise began in such a dark and paranoid film. In a way, it's kind of like First Blood, a post-war drama that's more about PTSD than anything else, that wound up spawning wildly cartoonish sequels, cartoony action figures, and indeed, an actual cartoon. But back to Gojira. So a few boats go missing and a small fishing village blames a series of strange events on Godzilla. But reporters and scientists, they're skeptical because nobody has like a grainy cell phone video to prove anything. But then Godzilla shows up and he's like, hey, did anyone request a lumbering, terrifying embodiment of your atomic paranoia? Ta-da! So Godzilla levels Tokyo, as is his wont, but luckily the brooding and obsessive scientist Dr. Serizawa has created a super weapon. It's called the Oxygen Destroyer. Now, what does the Oxygen Destroyer actually do? Well, it destroys oxygen. Next up, we have Rodan. Entomophobes beware. Toho's first full-color kaiju film opens with giant, creepy insects that like to shred people with their pinchers. Now, see, guys, this is why we can't have nice things. So these miners disturb an ancient lair, and a pair of bird-like dinosaur monsters hatch from an egg. They got a stiff, odd physiology, but they can whip up a hell of a windstorm just by flapping their wings. They also seem to have a real hatred for Japanese department stores. Moving on. 1961's Mothra is a colorful, psychedelic, music-fueled spectacle, and it introduces a few key ideas that we're going to see in later installments. Now, the setup is familiar. A shipwreck leads to the discovery of a village of natives living on the secluded Infant Island. By the way, this whole universe is very literal with its island names.
I sentence you to a lifetime of horror on Monster Island. Don't worry, it's just a name.
He said it was just a name.
What he meant is that Monster Island is actually a peninsula.
Now, the island is home to a pair of doll-sized singing fairies that beg the outsiders to stop blowing up atomic weapons off the coast of their island, which is a fairly reasonable request. But when the fairies are abducted and exploited as a novelty act, Infant Island's protector Mothra hatches and heads for Tokyo to set things right. Now, Mothra is the first giant monster that actually has a real motivation other than general revenge for being woken up before their alarm. She's also a protector more than a destroyer, which sets up the idea that not all giant monsters are bad, which is very progressive. Next up, a film that demonstrates that giant monsters are bad, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Now, what's a shared universe without a mysterious, golden-hued, all-powerful enemy from outer space? Enter Ghidorah, the big bad of the Godzilla films. Ghidorah means business. He's got no arms, 3 heads, and they're all ugly. He's brought to Earth by way of a meteor while Godzilla and Rodan are fighting, but Mothra convinces them to team up to drive the 3-headed dragon back to where he came from, then they can finish their tail-measuring contest later. Ghidorah's got it all. The singing fairies, an alien monster, mind control, a kaiju battle royale. It's pretty wild, but it's still topped by a film called Invasion of Astro-Monster. Now, without the help of Easter eggs, post-credit scenes, or Kevin Feige, the creative geniuses at Toho built up a sizable cinematic universe of monsters, and no film has more kaiju lunacy than this. A manned mission to Planet X discovers a race of aliens hiding under the surface. They're a little distant, but they seem nice enough, even though they've clearly never gone around to naming their planet beyond just the one letter. Too bad for them, they have to live underground to avoid Ghidorah, who spends his days spitting lightning at everything because Twitter hadn't been invented. These X-Aliens, or Zillions, as I'm told they're pronounced, want to borrow Godzilla and Rodan to take care of their own kaiju problem. Now, in return, they make a sweet offer. They'll take these rampaging giant prehistoric monsters off of our hands in exchange for a cure for all diseases. Shocker, none of that adds up. Turns out the Zillions are slaves to their own all-powerful AI that's really pulling the strings. They also really hate certain sounds, but don't we all? In any case, the morals of the story: beware of those bearing gifts, and don't trust computers. Alright, there's your 5. Thanks for watching. Any other kaiju recommendations? Comment below. Also, since this is the internet, this is the obligatory subscribe, like, and share message. Thank you.